Hi and welcome to the channel. Welcome to What Remains, and I'm Pete, and on this episode we're venturing up onto the Yorkshire Wolds. As you can see, there's a lovely field next to me, and we can start seeing in the distance that there's some rolling hills. The Yorkshire Wolds are in East and the North Riding of Yorkshire. They're the northernmost chalk hills in the UK, and they contain the northernmost chalky river called the Gypsy Race that heads off into the North Sea. The reason we're up here is because I'll tell you a little bit about the Yorkshire Wolds, the path that I'm walking on, the Yorkshire Wolds Way, and what we're going to see on the uppermost part of this section. There is something up there. The Yorkshire Wolds Way, this walk I'm on, and the wolds that it goes through is an example of why the wolds are so lovely to be on. I'm going to turn the camera around just a little bit. I'll show you the wolds from where I'm stood, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them. The word wold derives from the Old English word wald, W-A-L-D, meaning wood, and is usually applied to a lightly spread woodland. And indeed this area was covered with a lot of woodland. That was until the late 17th century when farming began to take over, and a lot of those woods were cut down for fuel, building materials, and to open up land for farming. So the wood does open up a little bit earlier. The wood does open up a little bit later on into a valley. I'll show you that when we get there. I'm almost at the destination to show you of what is on the wolds. I've stopped here to show you this bit because we are on the public footpath, but this area of land, we're in a valley, and it's currently being forestry managed by the Forestry Commission. I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you what I can see. That's the direction I was looking. There's a huge piece of equipment there. That's cutting trees down, that machine, and it's doing this stripping. I have got some footage of that, and I'll show you that at the end. Now where we're going is up there, that chalk path. That is quite a climb. This footpath is quite a short one, relatively speaking, as a national walk, and it's suitable for amateurs and beginners to come along as well, but you do need to be prepared. I'll tell you a bit more about the Yorkshire Wolds Way as we get up to the top of this climb here, but it's easy to see why it's so nice, even when it's been forestry managed, because us humans like to think we need to do everything, but hey, I guess it does need management, doesn't it? And we do need supplies, and they need to repopulate the forest with more trees to replace them. But people have lived on the Yorkshire Wolds for thousands of years. Now that is shown in the archaeological finds from prehistoric times through the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, and even the Danes, which in Yorkshire gave us names like Danes Dyke. And there is the nearby Danes Graves, where a chariot was found. Even at Driffield there has been chariots dug up. There was one near my sister's house, in fact. The Vikings have come along. They've lived up here, and they moved on to York and gave us the town of Jorvik, which is now known as York. And today on the Wolds, for us, we'll be seeing an art installation shortly. So I hope you enjoy that. I'll explain what it all represents. and hopefully it'll bring you back to what we've been discussing as we've been walking up. I'm going to get myself up there. I'll have a bit of a rest and then I'll switch the camera back on. Okay, I've made it up that hill and on the Yorkshire Wolds Ways now. I'm at the peak of where we're heading to. I've got beautiful views over the Vale of Pickering. I'll turn the camera around and I'll tell you a little bit about the Yorkshire Wolds Way as I just trek along it just before we get to our art installation, what we're here to see today. That's the way we've come from down there, and the Yorkshire Wolds Way continues through here. The Yorkshire Wolds Way was opened on the 2nd of October in 1982. It's not considered one of the most popular walking routes. It's 79 miles long, and you can do this walk in about 4 or 5 days, and you can do it without actually seeing anybody on the way. So if you like isolation, this is the walk for you. It's gentle gradients with some steep climbs, and beginners can do this quite easily, but you've got to be prepared because there's hardly any shops along the way. Now where we are, we're near Wintringham, and the church there sells bottles of water and hot cups of tea and coffee. So it starts at the Humber estuary down near Hessle, and it ends at the dramatic headland of Filey Brigg. Now what we're here to see is just to my left, but looking back you can see on the wolds it's absolutely lovely. This bit is a little bit cultivated, so somebody does come up here and mow the lawn, and I believe at some point in July this whole area is covered in poppies. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to walk around the art installation, show you it and tell you what it represents, and if you remember what we've been talking about on our way up here, this should make sense to you. So let's have a walk around and see what this art installation is about. The art up here is part of a project called Wander, Art on the Yorkshire Wolds Way. There are currently 9 installations, excluding curious looking benches along the way. If you wish me to go check out other things on the Yorkshire Wolds Way, drop it in the comments for me. Before we look at the art installation, we have got these curious little figures off to the side. These are known as guardian warriors, carved oak statues based on finds of tiny carved chalk warriors in the nearby Derwent Valley. The carved figures sit to the side of the main avenue of the work. From the front they appear as curious faces poking out from a group. From the back they reveal their sinister secrets. The perpendicular oak wood is a representative of Parisian figures. This term comes from the word Persian, and in this case was Romanized to form the word Parisian, which means villagers, as the Wolds has always had villages scattered all around, and this can be evidenced in the archaeology of the areas. The chalk path either side of the perpendicular oak wood represent paths showing what the wolds are made of. Next, drawing on Bronze Age barrow forms the circular burial ground represented here, These can vary in size from less than 10 metres to an impressive 50 metres in diameter. And over to our right here, there were 2 burial grounds actually found. Moving forward, we'll examine the pond. This is a representation of an ancient dew pond. I mentioned these when we were walking up here. Because there's no standing water, or very little standing water on the wolds, with it being chalk and the water being able to filter through and go to the clean springs along the foothold of the wolds, farmers needed to make the practice of dew ponds, and that is what we represent here. The idea of this one is to reflect the history of what was happening, but incidentally we're also reflecting the clouds as we look across the Vale of Pickering. I hope you've enjoyed this little trek on the Yorkshire Wolds Way with me. I would like to walk some of this. With it being such a quiet trail, people actually do wild camping along it. Nobody bothers you, nobody comes to see you. It's very isolated, so if you'd like to see me wild camping along this, bearing in mind I have no gear, I'll have to go out and buy it, and it'll be my first ever wild camp since I was a child. Drop it in the comments, I'll give it a go and I'll film the lot. Whether I last the whole night or not, who knows. But if you want me to do that, please like, share and subscribe, and drop that in the comments, and I'll see you next time.
Is he texting somebody?
Yeah. You're going to grab another tree for me.